Alright guys, first of all, thank you so much for your nice feedback on all the guideline videos. The next guide is going to be about gyrocopter, but before that there was a question about the mindset of Dota 2 and what we should be adapting, and this is what I'm going to propose to you real quick in this video, and then I'm looking forward to the next guide video. Thank you so much for sticking around. See you then! Alright, before I get completely into the rage about mindset and everything that's going on with your personal attitude towards Dota, let's talk about how to communicate in the best way with the teammate. The first thing that I would recommend, guys, is to actively draw on the minimap. If you're drawing on the minimap, you can really clearly communicate even without using words. You can ping Roche. Just don't spam ping it if you're going somewhere, just ping it once or twice, ask your teammates to do it. If they don't want to do it, don't force it on them. You can suggest things and always try to bring sentences with because or give a reason to do it. You can say, I just got Desolator, let's take Roche. And they're like, oh right, he got Desolator, of course we're taking Roche. And suddenly it seems to make sense for people to do what you're thinking. Or you can say, I don't want to play right now because I don't have my timings now. The first thing, as I said, is try to use the minimap actively, try to draw things, you can point into directions, you can tell people to split push without using a lot of communication. For me, it's always important to say as little as possible and be careful with using your open voice chat. If you talk, people will hear your voice and they immediately construe an image of you in their minds. It might just be, by accident or pure bad luck, that they don't like the image that they're construing in their head. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to feed them as little information as possible so they can be as neutral as possible to your suggestions. Also, if you talk too much, if you just talk all the time, they're not going to listen. So be patient with your words and talk very little. The next thing, one great way of communicating actually is to buy observer boards. If you buy observer boards and you place them in nice positions, for example in this area, then people will naturally play there. They will be like flies that are attracted to light. If you just guide them into the right direction by your positioning, by wards that you have, you will realize it's like a little dance and people actually follow your lead and they're more likely to go with you. And then the last thing I can really recommend is if you go to the hotkeys, you have customized chat wheels and you can use different options on them. And there's a primary and a secondary. I would recommend to use both because you're going to need the space. There are some things that you can get that are really helpful. For example, out of mana. That's really nice. Or what do I have? So I have...
You're a beautiful person with a charming personality.
That one, of course, that always helps to tilt people and diffuse the game. But so let's see what I actually use. There's a space created, which diffuses a situation if somebody badly dies. You can call for help immediately. You can probably don't use GG. You can say missing. Missing is important. Missing is really important, especially if you're a mid player. It's going to show that the enemy is missing. That's the first thing. And also, it's going, if you stay mid lane, for example, it's going to say missing mid automatically. So you don't have to worry about that. And you write it into the chat and it's permanently there. So if people are like getting ganked, you just, hey, look at the chat. Please try to listen to my call. That's important. The next one is care. I use that all. This is probably the one I use the most. Care and I'm retreating. It's so important to be on the same page with your teammates. And if you say, hey, something is up, something is smelling iffy, then you want to press care. And people can get that and they get the image that you're alert and that something is about to happen. They still don't know what, neither do you, but that's fine. And I'm retreating is so important, especially with the little white flag. I would recommend you to add that. If you say I'm retreating, then it's clear for them what to do. Team fights can be super hectic and it's always difficult to know, okay, what's the general statement of my teammates? What do they want to do? But if you clearly say that I'm retreating, then everybody looks to disengage from the team fight unless they know they have a strong power spike and they can keep going solo. Then what else do we have? We have, of course, negative or affirmative. Super important for quick decisions. Do you want to go Roche? Affirmative. That's all you need to do. Nice. Space created again.
Person with a charming personality.
What the herald?
And of course some voice lines. Very important. Very important to get some voice lines to tilt people. What else? This is just invoker shit. Alright. So, with that, I sent you into my crazy thoughts on your personal mindset. Let's go. If it comes to Dota, guys, I need you to be deliberately delusional. I need you to go absolutely crazy. Just for a second, let's put aside of what's reality and what you should be thinking. You should be thinking only the thoughts that increase your win probability. You should never think what's actually true or what's actually happening or what's actually going to happen in the future. Only focus on the things that will enable you to gain your win probability if you want to truly gain MMR. So let's compare some mindsets. Average mindset, and I'm characterizing this, of course. And also, look at this. The average mindset person is objectively right. Let me go through this. But I still tell you, if you adapt that mindset, you will lose more than you win. And if you adapt the pro mindset, even if it's completely irrational and not objectively true, you're still gonna gain MMR. So average mindset. I'm dependent on others. If the team sucks, then it's bad luck. Obviously, everybody has those games, right? Like you play 3 games that are going completely normal, then you know you're gonna lose 3 and you're gonna get carried 3 without anything you can do. If you have that mindset, then you're losing. It's not working. That's not how the game should be played. You should be thinking, my team is my responsibility. Everything I can control, I don't worry about. That's 2 things immediately change everything. You think everything is my responsibility. If top lane just feeds, it's because this is on me. I didn't pressure bottom enough. I didn't blah, 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 blah. Even if it's not true, it's going to make you an effectively better player. It's going to make you win MMR. My impact is limited. I can only do so much. It's a team game after all. That's obviously true. But we're not going to think that way. We're going to go into the game and think, I can solo carry every game. I'm the only factor that decides whether I win or lose. And I have absolutely no limits. There's nothing that can stop me. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to destroy everything. Those people, they can have the same MMR. But if you sit into the game, if you queue a game and you have one or the other mindset, the outcome, I guarantee you, is different. I have to tell my teammates what to do. If they play stupid, I tell them. If they make a mistake, I tell them, dude, you're so bad. Why did you do that? Don't you see that it's obvious that we can't go in here? Why did you miss your chrono? We saw 3 people. We even had a ward. All of those are sentences we are hearing all the time, but they relate to the past. If you say something like that, you're not changing the game at all, especially not in your favor. Every time you say something that's a comment about the game of the past, you're making it worse and your probability of losing rises and your probability of winning decreases. You have to think that you only want to talk about the present and the future. You say, this is what I want to do right now. This is what we are going to do in 5 minutes. Never complain, even if you have all the right to do it. Never say more than 100 words. This last one might be critical, or you might ask, why should I say less? The reason is that most of the things can be said with a single ping or with a single word. You don't need to say 1,000 words. If your teammates are not listening to your first 20, they're gonna not listen to the last 80 you say anyways. So limit the amount of resources that you put into talking. Only use your CPU power, your CPU brain power to actively win the game. I'll pick whatever. Let's just see what happens. Or I don't care to win this game. This is especially what I hear in minute 15 once my carry went into the jungle, started to buy a Midas minute 13 because he's like, well, I don't care about to win this game. This guy doesn't deserve to win. That's the most crazy statement I've ever heard. It's your MMR. You're never gonna see this person again, like ever. But you're gonna play with your MMR all the time. Focus on what you can do. Focus on what you can improve. Ignore the idiots that play with you. Everybody is an idiot except you. I understand. And of course there are people who are just feeding and go crazy and go nuts. That's fine, that's fine. We are just focusing on what we can do. And if we want to go in the game, we want to say, I know what I want to pick. This game is very important to me. I'm going to play as good as I can. I try my best, always. This doesn't mean that you always have to play really good. It always means that you want to push the limits if you really want to game MMR. You just need to be 1% better than the people in your bracket. Now, people talked about this before. It's like, yeah, but the MMR system is rigged. I tell you, it's not rigged. People, and I'm actually gonna blend this in here, people are smurfing in that game like crazy. I just played against a smurf. This guy has a 216 win streak on Broodmother. That's insane. And holy shit, 100% win rate with it as well. That's absolutely insane. So there are smurfs. And If they are Smurfs, this means those guys, they are running from Heralds to Immortal faster than you can blink. It's incredible. They go back to whatever their skill level is, like in an instant. And now you can say, yeah, but he's only winning because he's better. But that's exactly my point. So we just want to be really a lot better. And you can say, well, he's only winning because he's like 5,000 MMR better than everybody. Still, my point. We're gonna play 5,000 MMR better than everybody else if this is what is required to win consistently. Now let me pull out a couple of statistics. Those are 10 games that you can play, and only one of them you grieved. Only one of them you said, you know what? I had it. This game is impossible. I don't care about it. It's my right. I just won 9 games in a row. I don't care about this game. That's over anyways. GG. If you just throw away one single game out of the 10, it doesn't seem like much, but look. The more realistic scenario is that you have a 50-50 win chance. And if you have a 50-50 win chance, this means that you belong in this bracket. This means this is the true MMR that Gaben has for you right now. If you want to deviate from that, you need to change something. And look at this now. If you tilt one game of that, if you tilt just one game of that, suddenly you have 4 wins and 6 losses. And this doesn't seem to be much, but if you have 100 games and it's 50-50, you're still stuck, even though you played 100 games. But if you play 100 games and you have that mentality, you're gonna lose so many games. You're gonna just lose 10 games, which is 300 MMR, every 100 games you play. Imagine that. Just because you tilt 1 out of 10, you're gonna lose so much MMR. And now let's change this, put this back into perspective. So you have a 50% win rate, which is your true rank, which is where you belong right now. And then imagine you want to be improving, you want to be increasing your MMR. This means you need to have a 60% win rate to really feel it, to really be like, yes man, I'm just winning, I just keep winning. If you grieve 10% of those games, it will reset you back to 50. But if you still want to win that 10% MMR, if you have a 60% win rate basically, then you would need a 70% win rate just to keep improving and get the feeling of improvement. And a 70% win rate is basically impossible unless you're like 2000 MMR higher than everybody else. So the disadvantage that you give yourself is just crazy. It's just impossible to win. The fun thing is that many people, they grieve comfortably. They grieve comfortably that 1 out of 10 games. And they're still at their MMR. So this means in return that they're basically playing on a 70% win rate because they're just slowly gaining MMR and tilting a lot. So if they would just stop tilting, they could actually improve so quick. And you could say, well, what's the difference really? Like it's just a couple MMR, it doesn't matter. But imagine the difference there. If you play on a 50% win rate and you do it for a year, and you play, I don't know, 1,000 games. You play 50% win rate for a year, and then you compare yourself to somebody who plays on a 60% win rate a year. That difference is phenomenal. That's just crazy. So what we want to do is we want to change the really little things, and we want to see what actually impacts the game and what kind of mindset we can adopt, no matter how delusional it is, to increase our win rate as much as we can. We want to do this like a doctor in an operation room. We want to do it surgically. We want to do it really slowly and see what specifically improves my win rate. I told you one thing again, and before, this is the mindset. Your mindset really decides the outcome. If you don't believe it, just try it. Act as if you would be the only one in charge and you would be the only one in control, and don't think a second about your teammates. Your win rate will increase. And the next things are gameplay related. To get into this, we look here. If you don't use the battle report actively already, then this is for you. So once you're in the battle report, you can choose between heroes, roles, and matches. We're gonna choose matches and untick everything. Maybe except for a couple of those. We don't need the duration. We don't need the date. What else we not need? Items, game mode, items, all not important. Role could be of use. We don't need XP, we don't need this, we don't need the hero damage. Alright, now we've selected it pretty basically, and now we're gonna check. And actually sort things according to their kind, and we're gonna see if they correlate with wins. So let's get into this. For example, let's choose enemy tier 1 tower destroyed. Now what you can see is enemy tier 1 tower destroyed, and every time, I don't know why exactly it says this, but every time it's 0.00, it means that it's below 10 minutes. This is what I figured out so far. It's a little bit buggy, but it still works for the place. Look what we see. So we have a couple wins, and with a couple wins, and with a couple wins, and now we're getting, we're getting, this is even before 10 minutes, but everything after 10 minutes looks a little bit more tricky. We still get a couple of wins, and now the losses start coming in, and we get more losses, and the game gets more and more impossible to play, basically. And it's independent of the role. As you see, there's carry, there's offlane, there's everything in here. So taking the enemy tier 1 tower early is really, really important. As you can see, it's still a little bit mixed, and then there's some wins as well. But it's really, really dominant, especially at the beginning. The wins are just crazy. If you search the results and you match them to the enemy tier 1 tower destroyed, your wins, they just spike up. So that's why I recommend you guys to take the tier 1 tower first. Okay, let's see what else we can search for. We can search for GPM. And we're just going to sort everything for GPM. We're actually going to turn it around. So we start with really low GPM. And they're all losses. I mean, it's kind of what you would expect, right? It's kind of what you expect. The loss. So many losses. So many losses. Holy crap. That's incredible. And then once you start to get into some good GPM, we're getting more and more wins coming in. Look at this. This is beautiful. Look at that. Wins. So many wins. This just goes to show that your probability of winning the game drastically increases if you focus on the right elements of the game. Another one I can give you is the tower damage. If you just queue up tower damage and you see what it does, it's obvious. If you don't have tower damage, you don't win the game. But people are not directing their gameplay around tower damage. And if you just go up a little bit and you get to some decent tower damage, you're gonna see the win probability is increasing. And once you're on a certain threshold, you see the wins coming in. And win is just all you do. So focusing on tower damage, holy shit, look at that streak. It's basically, if you have above 10k or even 8k tower damage, it's basically impossible for you to lose that game, just based on statistics. And this could be biased, this could be just like my hero pool or whatever, but try it, see, like if that doesn't change anything, if you have 20k tower damage every single game and you're still losing, then I'm gonna be personally boosting your account, alright? Seems fair. So now you basically know what it's depending on. If you truly want to gain MMR, what you need to do is you need to improve your mindset. Improvement in the sense of not setting it in a way that's most accurate to describe objective reality, but in a way that is most likely that you squeeze out every little percent of win rates that you can get out of the match. So you need to be delusional on purpose. You need to be saying, all right, what are the most crazy mindsets, the most crazy mentalities and attitudes I can get into the game that improve my mindset, and I want to ignore everything else that's going around me. And the second thing is you want to look at the things that actually change the game. This would be tower damage, gold per minute, and net worth in total. Those metrics, if you can just boost them up and basically ignore everything else, I guarantee you that you're gonna win games. The very last thing I can recommend is take a role, get a couple heroes, go with intention and with a hero into the game, stick to a role and stick to 2 or 3 heroes, just spam them constantly. This enables you to look at your net worth, to look at your tower timings and to have some clear reference and then improve step by step. Alright, that's it for today.